Okay, welcome everyone to our October Lunch and Learn. I'm excited to be here with you today. My name is Shahiwa Jarrett Gallen, the founder and president of the Broward County Black Chamber of Commerce, and you are in for a treat. We know that in today's economy, things can kind of be tough for our small businesses. And luckily, we have cities that are looking out for small businesses and understand the important role that they play, right? Small businesses are the economic backbone of not only our local economy, our state economy, and our nation's economy. And the City of Tamarac has some new grants and incentive programs that they want to share. They want to get out there. They implement these things and they want our small businesses to know about them so they can take advantage of them. So we have a special guest here today, Kenneth Lopez, who is the Economic Development Administrator at the City of Tamarac. And say hi, Kenneth. And while you're doing
Hello.
that, introducing yourself, I'm going to go ahead and give you sharing capabilities, but just do a little introduction.
Sure.
Yeah.
Uh, Thank you so much, and welcome everyone to this Lunch and Learn. I'm very excited about it. Again, my name is Kenneth Lopez. I serve as the Economic and Redevelopment Administrator here at the City of Tamarac, and I have a great presentation planned for you this afternoon. We're going to be talking a little bit about some of the resources and some of the incentive programs that we have to offer here in the city.
Perfect. I believe I gave you the sharing capabilities, so
Yep.
let me know if it worked.
Yep. So I'll be sharing my screen. Let me know if you can all see it.
Kenneth's screen. I don't know.
All right. Let's see.
Do I have to click on it? I don't know.
Have you?
No, I clicked on me. Okay, go ahead. All right.
Can you
I
see?
can
Can
see
you all
it.
see my screen?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I just again, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Kenneth Lopez. I serve as the Economic Development and Redevelopment Administrator at the City of Tamarac. My contact number is 954-597-3513, and you can also reach me in my email, kenneth.lopez@tamarac.org. So if you have any questions during this presentation or after this presentation, we'll have a little bit of time to talk about it afterwards. But if you want to reach out to me, you can do so through those channels. A little bit about our office. Tamarac has an economic development office. Here in our economic development office, we're dedicated to driving forward the city's economic growth and its vitality. We do this a number of ways, specifically through business attraction, business retention, entrepreneurship, workforce development, and planning, programming, and redevelopment. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about that programming as we go through our agenda. In today's agenda, I'm going to be talking to you about two new economic development incentive programs that we have specifically for our business community. We'll also, if we have time, talk about some of the other programs that aren't necessarily grants, but these are opportunities and programs available for the business community as well. Our first grant we'll be talking about is the Tamarack Small Business Micro Grant. Then we'll talk about the tenant improvement interior build out grant, and then we'll go forward and talk about the business concierge program, our Tamagram business spotlight, our business directory, and our ribbon cutting ceremonies. All right, so let's get into it with our first economic development incentive program, the Small Business Micro Grant. Um, some of you might be familiar with Broward County's Small Business Micro Grant. This is really similar, but our commission was really integral in the development of this program because they opted to increase the amount of money that we are able to award our business community. So that was a great and large help in the process. So our Tamarack Small Business Micro Grant is focused on small businesses specifically, on giving them access to financial assistance on a reimbursement basis for qualified eligible expenses. So there's a maximum award amount of $5,000 for non-resident owned businesses and $10,000 for resident owned businesses. Again, the grant structure of this program is on a reimbursement basis. So this will be a reimbursement for expenses already made. And the eligible expenses must fall within 120 days prior to your application date and must meet the criteria of the eligible expenses list. So it needs to fall under one of those categories that we'll cover on later in this presentation. Applicants will only be awarded up to the total amount of their documented eligible expenses, or up to the maximum grant award, whichever is less. So let's say you applied for the 10,000 and you submitted receipts up to 11,000. You'll only receive up to that maximum of that 10, if granted that you meet all the other requirements. Unused grant funds, they'll be put back into the pool for eligible applicants. So let's say you qualify for the 10,000, but your receipts are only up to 9,000, and that extra 1,000 doesn't stay there for the next time you reapply. It actually goes back into the pool for other applicants to apply in the program. And last but not least, awarded businesses must wait 12 months prior to reapplying again. So if you are awarded the grant, you got to wait an entire year before applying again to the program. All right. So let's talk a little bit about eligibility. To be eligible, you have to be a for profit business located within the city of Tamarac. You have to have no outstanding code violations or liens on the business. You have to have an active status on Sunbiz, meaning your business needs to be registered with the Florida Division of Corporations. You have to hold a Broward County business tax receipt and a Tamarac local business tax receipt for the current years. You have to have filed federal business taxes for either 2023 or 2024. Next year, that'll be 2024 or 2025. Um, so in every year, it'll become more current to the year. If you have a business like a startup and you've been operating for less than 1 year, and let's say you haven't had enough time to file taxes, well, we've opened the program to allow for businesses such as those to apply as well. We only ask that in place of those federal business taxes, you submit a copy or of your business plan, so a complete business plan, or you can submit proof of completion of an entrepreneurship program that you've done in the past, or some sort of small business boot camp. If you need help recognizing or finding one of these small boot camps or entrepreneurship programs, we'll be more than happy to help you. Just reach out to our office and we can connect you to what is available. Another requirement is that you have to have a gross annual revenue of $1 million or less, and you have to have less than 20 full-time employees. This is because we're trying to really help the small businesses, and so we want to really create a program that's directed towards that community. You have to also be at least a 50% owner of the business to apply. Resident-owned businesses must be at least 50% owned and must have a current resident of Tamarac government-issued ID that has their address on there, and they have to submit that along with their application if they're applying for that resident-owned business $10,000 grant amount. All right, next slide. So we talked about eligibility. Let's talk about some ineligible businesses. This program is not for adult entertainment businesses, cannabis or CBD related businesses, gambling establishments, nonprofit organizations, massage parlors, country clubs, private or commercial golf courses, or stores that have the principal business or principal operation is the sale of alcoholic beverages, tobacco, or other drug or consumptions for off premises. Any business use that is not representative of the city's true intent or spirit of the program. This program, again, is to help small businesses in the community that create an impact and an economic development impact within its community, that hire employees, that we're able to kind of see firsthand the impact that they have on our community. So that is kind of more or less the true intent of this, or the spirit of the program, to help those businesses that are in need and that meet those qualifications and that match more or less to what the community really is about. So the next thing is eligible expenses. So when it comes to eligible expenses, these are the expenses that you'll be able to claim for reimbursement. So expenses that fall under inventory and supplies. So if you have inventory for your business, if you order supplies on a monthly basis or however frequent, you can submit those for eligibility and for reimbursement. This is excluding alcohol, tobacco, firearms, or other restricted items. You can also submit for business equipment. Just make sure that this business equipment is essential to the daily operations of the business. And we've expanded this to include digital equipment or software as well. So if you use like Microsoft 365, or you use any types of like QuickBooks or things like that, software programs that you utilize, Canva even, in your business, it qualifies as business equipment as long as it ties to the daily operations or the operations of your business. You can also submit commercial rent. So if you are a for-profit business and you have a commercial space that you're paying for on a monthly basis, you can submit your rent payment, and we can provide you with a reimbursement for that. This excludes home-based businesses. This is only for businesses that occupy commercial spaces. Marketing and advertising is also included within this eligible expenses list. So signage, pamphlets, brochures, digital media, and print materials. If you have like a website that you're using to promote your business, that can also be covered under there. So if you're unsure about any of the expenses, you can always give us a call or send us an email, and we can help you navigate that process. We also offer reimbursement for commercial security systems, the installation of that, and also if you're paying like a monthly service fee for it. Um, Commercial liability insurance, and this is only for expenses incurred within 120 days. And then last but not least, professional services, like any soft services like legal, accounting services, consulting, if your tax preparer, things like that. Um, Another thing in terms of like subscription based um, services or fees that you incur in your business, we can reimburse that, but it wouldn't be for the entire year. It would be for that 4 month period that we spoke about, that 120-day period prior to your application date, that we'll be able to kind of reimburse you for. So just keep that in mind when you are submitting your receipts, that any subscriptions or things that are tied to the business operations or even the commercial liability insurance, it'll be broken down and you'll be reimbursed for 120 days worth of that. So, all right. So, some ineligible expenses. So, we talked a little bit about ineligible businesses. Some ineligible expenses include alcohol, tobacco, firearm purchases. This is not for payroll or salaries. If you're using this to purchase vehicles or a lease, late fees or penalties or debt payments, any rent deposits for new leases, any interior or exterior renovations and home improvements, travel, art, or marketing items that are unrelated to the business operations, utility bills. That's one that we get quite frequent. A lot of applicants submit utility payments. We don't reimburse that. Taxes or fees owed to any government entity. We don't reimburse that either. Any expenses that fall under out or outside of that 120-day period will not be reimbursed either. And just as a rule of thumb, really take a look at that eligible expenses list, because anything that's not specifically under there, although sometimes or rarely it can fall into gray areas, but most of the time, if it's not listed under that eligible expenses list, it's not covered. All right, so let's talk about required documentation. You heard a little bit about what's eligible. I'm sure some of you are already excited, maybe have some idea of receipts in mind that you can apply for, and we're excited for that. So we want to equip you with the best tools to know how to apply. So you're going to want to get this paperwork together before applying through our online portal, because you'll be submitting with your application a signed W-9 form, proof of active status on Sunbiz. So you can go to Sunbiz and you can take a screenshot of the page where it shows active, your business has active status, or you can send us some of those articles of incorporation or anything that we can utilize as a way to see that your business is active and registered with the state. Um, the next thing is we need a copy of your City of Tamarac business tax receipt. Some of you are operating without a business tax receipt, and we need you to get registered with us. So please, if you do not have a Tamarac business tax receipt, don't be embarrassed, don't be ashamed. Just come to us and we'll help you get started. We'll also need you guys to submit a copy of your Broward County business tax receipt. This is important as well. Some businesses that are registered with us, they forget the extra step of reaching out to the county and getting their Broward County business tax receipt. This is a very quick process. They have an application process completely online that you can do. So Please get that if you haven't already done so. Next, we'll need a copy of your federal business tax returns for 2023 or 2024 if you're applying for this year. And if you're applying next year, it's going to be for the current year, 2024, 2025. So if you're a startup, we'll need that full business plan attached to your application or proof that you've completed a small business bootcamp or entrepreneurship program. The next thing that we'll need from applicants is employee documentation. We need to verify that you have less than 20 employees. So if you have employees that work under you, you can send us any payroll documentation. If you have a W-3, if you have no employees, we do have an employee document waiver form on our website that you can download, fill out, and attach with your application. If you for some reason you're not able to get to that employee document waiver, please just send us a letter indicating that you do not have any employees and put your signature on there. We'll utilize that as an affidavit letting us know that you are claiming zero employees. For the purposes of this grant, I know sometimes for taxes you can include yourself as an employee sometimes, but in this particular case, for this grant, you are the owner of the business, not an employee. So any employee other than yourself is what you would submit as proof of documentation. We will also need a government issued photo ID. This is necessary even if you're not applying for the resident owned business. The reason why is because we need to make sure that you are who you say you are. If John Doe is applying on behalf of your business, we definitely don't want that. So we want to make sure that the right business owner is applying for the right business. And we do that by looking at the government issued photo ID and then also matching up the names with what's on their SunBiz and what's on the City of Tamarac's business tax receipt, etc. So it's a way that we utilize to dot all our I's and cross all our T's. Proof of paid eligible expenses. So just as a reminder, please make sure that all expenses fall within that 120-day period. It's going to be very important. If you're applying for commercial rent, please also include a copy of your lease. We don't need the entire lease. We just need the page that has the name of the landlord, the property manager, and the amount of the commercial rent that you're paying. This is important because if we look at let's say we look at your bank statement and we see, hey, on this date you paid XYZ amount to this person, we need to make sure that this person is indeed the landlord or the property manager. So we use that as additional documentation to help support that expense. So what is the application process for this grant? It's very simple. We have a Tamarac economic development website called tamaracedo.com. In there is a tab that says grants. You'll click on the tab that says grants. You'll scroll down, and the first one is the small business micro grant. So right there's a couple of buttons that say apply now and guidelines and employee document waiver, and you can select apply now if you're ready to apply. If you want to review the guidelines in more detail, you can do so. But at the Tamarac EDO website, you can apply directly for any of our programs, and you can also find out more information. But it's also a great resource and tool for you as well to get familiar with some of the other programs that we offer additional to these grant programs here. So applications are reviewed in the order they are received. This is very important because we try to keep a fair and equitable process. So as applications come in, we review them as they come in, and we move on to the next one after that application is reviewed. This is important because there's a limited amount of funds within this pot that we have for this grant program. So what happens is to keep the process fair, we've dated and marked every application that comes in, so that way it's a fair process and no one comes up, well, I applied on this date and what, well, we can also track all that information and all that is accessible and transparent. So we use a process like that to make sure that it's fair for the applicants who apply. So it is a first come, first served basis, but also applications are reviewed in the order they are received to make sure that the process is fair. Incomplete applications, they will be denied. So applicants, make sure that all your documents are in order and all your receipts are fall under those eligible expenses. Please also note that Another note for eligible expenses. It needs to be clear that they were made under a business bank account or a business name. Personal expenses are not covered under this program. So if you're a business and you do not have a business bank account yet, please, I will urge you, if not for this grant, then do it for the benefit of your business going forward. Establish a business bank account and start doing your transactions under the business bank account or the business name, because that will be a lot easier when it comes to taxes. And also when it comes to programs such as these, you need to be able to differentiate your personal expenses from your business expenses. So that's another thing. Make sure that your expenses are under the business name, because personal expenses will not be covered. Um, if for any reason your application is denied due to incomplete or missing documentation or revisions needed, we will let you know the reason for the denial, and you will have to resubmit your application as a new application if you wish to reapply. We don't accept any documents via email at this time, just so that we can continue to keep the process fair. So, and people not wait too long in the queue. However, that process um, might change moving forward, but there'll be more information on that going forward. But as of right now, we can't accept any documents or revisions or extra receipts via email. Revised, additional, or missing documentation. So again, that's not going to be accepted via email. And if you have any questions about that application process, you could always let us know. So we're going to move on right ahead to the next economic development incentive program, the tenant improvement slash interior build out grant. This is a amazing program used to attract new businesses to the city. It provides financial assistance in the form of a reimbursement for interior build out, tenant improvements, and commercial rent. You can't use this in conjunction with the Tamarac Small Business Micro Grant, but this is great for businesses that are coming into the city or new to the city. Again, the Tamarac Small Business Micro Grant is for businesses already here. The tenant improvement slash interior build out grant is for businesses that aren't here yet but are moving to the city and are in the process of opening up a business. There's a maximum awarded grant of about 100,000 per business, and you can also claim for reimbursement up to 25% of 1 month's commercial rent. This is on a reimbursement basis for both the 100,000 and the 25%. So whatever you put into the interior build out, up to that maximum is what you will receive at the end of the project. You have to be a new business coming into Tamarac in order to be eligible, and you have to also meet all the other program requirements. So some of the eligible expenses, um, they have to just fall under the eligible expenses list, and no more than 3 awards per plaza. This is so that we keep the development not clustered within specific areas, but we allow for development to happen around citywide. Grant funds are dispersed only after the project is completed, all necessary inspections have been passed, and the applicant has received all certificates or licenses needed to operate within the city. This is important because it's a prime example of how incentives work, right? The incentive is that we will help with this interior build out, but we need you to follow all the necessary rules and regulations so that you can open safely and also abide by any compliance measures that we may have. So some of that includes obtaining the Tamarac business tax receipt and a certificate of occupancy. So you need that in order to um, submit for reimbursement. So let's talk a little bit more in detail about eligibility. So you have to be opening or relocating a business within the city of Tamarac. You have to be the owner of the business or a designated representative with permission from the owner to apply. You must have submitted for a certificate of use. If you're unfamiliar with what a certificate of use form is, basically, it's a form that our department utilizes, or well, our community development department utilizes to analyze a proposed space. And what we look for is to see if that space is free and clear of any zoning violations, of any liens or encumbrances. And also, we check to see if the space is zoned for the business use. This is important because you want to know this information prior to moving in or signing a lease. You want to be able to know what you're getting into. So your first step should always be to come to the city first, do the certificate of use for the space that you're thinking of occupying, and that way they can tell you exactly what you're getting into, what you'll need for the space, etc. So for this particular grant, you'll need to submit that certificate of use form to our community development department. You have had to apply for a Tamarac business tax receipt. So if you're familiar with our process, or if you're unfamiliar, I can explain it real quick. So when you apply for a Tamarac business tax receipt in the city of Tamarac and you're a new business, you don't get it right away. What happens is that when you apply for your business, you submit an application, but then you have to go through the steps of going through the permitting process, and that is through our building department. And once you get the necessary permits and you pass what's called a safety inspection, you get what's called a certificate of occupancy. That certificate of occupancy is necessary for you to receive that Tamarac business tax receipt. So just because you apply for it doesn't mean that you've obtained it yet. You have to go through the necessary steps and processes and make sure that your inspections are approved. This is for a commercial space. Home based businesses are different, but for a commercial space, that's the process. And you get the Tamarac business tax receipt at the end when you've completed all the additional steps. So that's one of the requirements as well. So you needed to apply for Tamarac business tax receipt. You don't need to receive it at this point, but we need to have proof that you've at least applied. Another thing is that you need to be a for-profit business. This again is not for um, businesses that are nonprofits or home-based businesses. These are for businesses that are occupying a commercial space. So the proposed location must be a commercial space. It needs to be appropriately zoned for the business use. It needs to be free and clear of zoning violations. Um, you, as the owner of the business, needs to either lease the commercial space or own the commercial space, and the proposed improvements must comply with our eligible list of improvements, and they cannot, and this is very important because we've had some applicants that have started improvements without receiving grant approval. And just to let you know, any improvements that have been started before receiving grant approval will not be eligible for reimbursement. So make sure that you tell your contractor to wait until you go through this grant process if you want those improvements to qualify under this grant. So some ineligible applicants. We talked a little bit about it, but we'll get into more detail. Some of them include home-based businesses, nonprofit organization, adult entertainment establishments, religious institutions, payday loan stores, pawn shops, cannabis dispensaries, government offices or public agencies, mobile businesses or pop-ups, existing Tamarac businesses seeking upgrades at current locations, or business uses that don't represent the true spirit or intent of the program. So what can I do under this program? What can I do under this grant? Well, there's a lot. You can do electrical if your space needs electrical work, if it needs plumbing, if you're in the process of updating the air conditioning. That's an expensive expensive process that is covered under this grant. Lighting is also covered. If you're making changes to make like bathrooms or things like that, ADA compliance, that's covered under the program. Signage and awnings, so that's important. Flooring, drywall, windows and doors. If you're doing any masonry, ceilings, carpentry, life safety systems. So this is important too because in the past there have been businesses that have not been able to put certain um, improvements or make certain improvements to their storefront or their interior of their space because of outdated sprinkler systems or outdated fire suppression types of things. So by updating and modernizing that, you can bring that space into the current time, which would allow you to make do certain things that might be a fire hazard for sprinkler systems that are outdated. You know what I mean? So this is a great program to try to bring that space into modern times so that you can also do more improvements that are more in line with what a lot of other spaces that are now doing. So a lot of them are doing like the grass wall interior and things like that with outdated fire suppression or sprinkler system. You will not be able to do that. It's a fire hazard. So that's why it's important to make sure that all this stuff is up to date. So this is going to help you with that. Um, by tackling life safety systems. Another thing is bathrooms. You know, if you're looking to update the bathroom or installation or anything like that, it's covered under the grant. Furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Now this one is tricky and there's a lot of gray areas, but the most important thing to think about when it comes to furniture, fixtures, and equipment is, does this add to the functionality of the space, and does this add to, or is this related to any business operations? So when you're talking about furniture, you know, it needs to be tied to the operations of the space. Maybe you need furniture for your clients to sit on because you're trying to update an office and you need that for the consulting services that you provide. Maybe it's a kitchen, and now you need chairs or seating for your patrons to come and eat. If you're a retail establishment and you need shelving and you're looking for specific types of shelving, those are the types of things that you got to think about when you're looking at furniture, fixtures, and equipment. And then also, equipment can be what you need to run the business. So overall, here's some rule of thumbs. The improvements that qualify for reimbursement must be tied to the interior build out or improvement. Furnitures and fixtures have to be tied to essential business operations. Improvements need to fall under that improvement list. Once the grant is approved, the improvements need to begin after the grant is approved. Anything that's been started beforehand will not qualify. And when you're submitting for reimbursement, you need to have those paid invoices and receipts. Any improvements outside of the original scope will not be reimbursed. So as I get into the process for applying and what you need to submit, you'll kind of get an understanding of what I mean by original scope. But just so you know, any improvements that are outside of that will not be covered. So everything that you're planning to do needs to be submitted first to the city. We need to review it and then go from there. So let's talk about project requirements for this grant. So the first thing you need to do is you need to submit a grant application for the tenant improvement interior build out grant through our online portal. Most of our programs are through this way. It just reduces the amount of paperwork. It makes it easier to process and easier to track. Applications, they need to include what's called a project description. So it's going to be a description of the work that you're planning to do. A scope of work is similar to that, but it's itemized. So we're going to be able to go a line item by line item as to what you're thinking to do. If you're doing drywall, if you're doing signage, if you're doing ADA compliance, whatever it is, and you can get that from your contractor. So they will work with you to establish. And usually, when you work with a contractor, they'll give you a scope of work anyways, and the pricing. That pricing will allow you to come up with a project budget. So we need you to, based on the improvements that you're planning to make and the quotes that you're receiving from your contractors, to establish not only the scope of work but the project budget. This is important because we want to stay close to that budget because that's what, at the end of the day, will either be approved or denied. So the next thing you'll need is a contractor proposal or estimate. So this is going to be one of the things that you receive, and it's going to allow you to, one, identify the project description, identify the scope of work, identify the cost, which will help you with the project budget, and then you'll also want to get an additional backup just in case that contractor, gets busy and can't get back to you in time, or you have to fire him for any reason, or maybe he's not doing a great job and you have to hire someone else. We want to make sure that you've at least done that due diligence. So have that on standby. Another thing is the photos of current interior conditions. This is so that our building department can know what's already there and what you're trying, and also it'll allow us to create that narrative or paint that picture as to what it looks like and what it's going to look like once the improvements are done. Apart from that, we'll need an interior layout or floor plan. This can be hand drawn, and this is another requirement that our building department needs anyways for their permitting. So you'll do a hand drawn drawing of the floor plan, where the bathrooms are, where the exit signs are, where's the entrance. If you have tables or cubicles, where are they located? So it doesn't have to be a complex thing. It could be a hand drawn thing as long as it is able to be recognized. If someone looking at it, they're able to tell where everything is. Renderings or photos of proposed improvements. This is important. Some people can afford to do renderings if they want to do like an AI type of thing, or they want to go to an actual business that will give them renderings of what the space will look like based on the improvements. Sometimes you don't have that capability, or you don't have that resource. You can download photos or just get photos from Google that are close to the improvements that you're thinking of making. This is so that we can actually, when we are looking at what the improvements are going to be, we can kind of visualize or have something to show as evidence or proof as to what it's going to look like, and that'll also help you sell this project as you're going forward and presenting it to the necessary parties um, within the city. Another thing we'll need is the proof of ownership or lease agreement. So we need to know that you are leasing the space and that you're already in the space. So, once you go through all those other parts and you finally sign the lease, we'll need a copy of that. The letter of authorization. So this is important too, and it doesn't have to be a formal letter. It could be just an email, but we want to basically get confirmation from the property owner or landlord that they're okay and in support of the improvements that you're planning to make to the space. Some landlords are particular about what's done inside their plazas, and so we want to make sure that they're on board with it. Most of the time they are, because it's just improvements made to the space, but again, we just want to make sure from a liability standpoint that they're on board as well. Additional project requirements. So after the project is approved, understand that construction must start within 90 days of that approval and finish within 12 months. This is a interior build out, so usually these projects um, don't last that long. However, things happen, and we know this, and extensions can be given based on the circumstance. So we are flexible with that. But just as a rule of thumb, depending on the complexity of the project, we'll get a length of time, but usually it should fall within this period. 90 days, we'll expect construction to start, and within 12 months, we expect the project to be done. But again, there is flexibility based on circumstance and also complexity and size of project. If there are delays in the project, you can contact us and let us know what's going on, and we'll review it. And upon city approval, we'll be able to issue an amendment to the agreement to extend the timeline, and you'll be fine. What you don't want to do is not contact us at all. um, Let the project go on, and then have us kind of reach a point where the project is supposed to be done and you're still a year away from it being completed. We don't want that. We want to be able to make sure that your project is going according to plan and that we're with you every step of the way. So just please feel free to communicate and let us know so that we can get ahead of a problem before it turns into a bigger one. Uh, any work performed prior to receiving the grant approval, again, is not eligible. So it's just very important to make sure that you don't start work until you receive the proper permits and the proper grant approval. And then again, any work done without a permit will not be reimbursed either. So what does our review process look like? So I talked about, creating this narrative for your project and presenting it. This is usually how these types of projects will go. Our review process consists of applications coming to our office first, reviewed in the order that they're received. So I'll receive the project in my office. I'll review it to make sure that the application is complete. From there, if I see that it is complete and no other documentation is needed or things need to be revised, I'll recommend you to the Grant Review Committee. The Grant Review Committee is made up of city disciplines. Specifically for this program, it's going to be mostly the building department. They're going to review your application and they're going to give you feedback and they're going to let you know what you need to do. If you need to correct anything, they're going to let you know about the process of pulling permits and things like that. So if you want to bring your contractor during this portion of the process, then you can. Um, and then when they review and approve your project, what they'll do is they'll recommend you to present your project in front of the city commission. So this is going to look like a presentation, like a PowerPoint, similar to something like this, right? But probably with more pictures. And this presentation is going to just be a way of you letting the commission and the community know, hey, this is my space, this is my business, this is the service or the product that I sell, and I'm planning to do this build out or improvements to the space for this reason, for this reason, for this reason. You'll show pictures of how the space looks like now and how it look like in the future once you're done with the improvements, and that will allow you to kind of tell the story and leave it to the commission to vote on and approve. And once the commission approves, it's up to them. If they approve the grant, then an agreement will be drafted and executed. If they don't approve it for any reason, then it's back to the drawing board. We need to reevaluate and reevaluate the steps from there. So that's it for the two economic development incentive programs. But if we have some time, I can go ahead and talk a little bit about some of the other programs. Um,
One
uh,
second, Kenneth, let's just
yeah.
see if anybody, because that was a lot of information on two really
Yes.
great programs. I just
Hmm.
wanted to see if anybody has any questions. Does anybody have any questions at this point? No, I don't see any hands. Okay,
Yeah, and if you have any questions after the presentation, you can always go back. I can send this presentation out so you have a copy of it, and feel free to email me if you do come across any questions.
great.
Um, but I just want to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about some of the other programs that we have. They're not necessarily grant programs, but these are programs that are very helpful for businesses at different stages. So, one is our business concierge program. This is a dedicated liaison that's designed to help new businesses navigate the city's licensing processes, permitting processes, any development processes involved. And this is very helpful because if you're a new business, it's already overwhelming when you're starting a business from scratch. And to top to put on top of that, to navigate the business, the a city's processes can be a little bit more overwhelming or a little bit stressful. So at the City of Tamarac, we're trying to alleviate that stress as much as we can by providing you this dedicated liaison or help. This person is going to educate you on the steps required to obtain your business license, to navigate the city's permitting processes. They're going to go to bat for you in the sense of following up on your behalf and providing updates to you that they receive from either the building department or planning and zoning to make sure that communication doesn't drop in between. There's no more runaround or talking to 4 or 5 different people and not getting the answers you want. You can reach out to your liaison, and that person will reach out on your behalf and facilitate communication to make sure nothing drops and you have the information you need to move forward. The other thing is that they can connect you to programs, resources, and other tools tailored to your business's needs. So the good thing about this person is that they're familiar with the other city departments, and so if they see like, hey, oh, this person might be it might be of interest for you to talk to this person because they have information on that, and maybe that's a program that will benefit you. um, that's very beneficial and very good to have. So that's an added benefit. This is a free service, by the way, and it's available to all new and existing businesses. But this is more beneficial for new businesses that might not be familiar with all of our processes. The next thing is a very interesting opportunity here because there's not a lot of cities that offer free marketing opportunities for businesses because they're afraid to. Well, some of them are afraid to do that conflict of interest type of thing. But what we're trying to do is really elevate the business community as a whole. So we offer this opportunity to all of our businesses, prioritizing the new businesses that come into the city. And this is called our Tamagram newsletter. We have this; it's a quarterly newsletter that we distribute to our residents and our communities citywide. But we have a portion of this newsletter is our business spotlight. This is a dedicated portion of our magazine that is designed to let the community know about new businesses that are here. And a part of that is we we do not only the publication, but we do a digital blast as well. So some of the benefits you'll get from this is marketing, of course, through exposure and through the printed newsletter, but also digital promotion through our city's social media posts and and you'll have a platform too to share your stories. So our public information office, they're a very talented group of professionals that really are going forward and spreading the news about the city and all our events. But now businesses will be able to get in on that too. So they'll go to your business establishment, they'll do a nice recorded video, they'll splice that up with a lot of B-roll from your business, letting the community know about the services and things you offer. And it's a free service that's to you, and applications are received and they evaluate it based on first come first serve. They'll schedule you, and it's been really successful so far. So we just want to make sure our businesses are aware of that, so that they too can receive that added help in terms of marketing and getting their business out there. If you have questions or you have an interest in being featured, please contact our PIO office at pio@tamarac.org. But again, this is a rare opportunity that you don't see often in a lot of cities, and City of Tamarac is very dedicated and focused on, being at the forefront of elevating and promoting our businesses. One of the ways we're also promoting our businesses is through our new Tamarac Business Directory. So for a while now at the city, I've been kind of trying to get us on board with getting a business directory. I know a lot of cities have a business directory, but this is a really, really important one because we haven't had one before. So I'm very excited about letting you know about this opportunity, because now we have a way for our residents and our visitors to shop local and support our Tamarac business community. This business directory is connected to your Google business profile. So it's not entered directly through us, but directly through you. So we can make sure that information stays current. So if you have a business, Google business profile, and there's a typo here, I apologize. I'll fix that and I'll send it over. But if you have a Google business profile, it ensures that your information stays current in terms of your website, your contact information, your hours, your services. And the good thing about this directory is that you can search business directly by the name or by the industry, making it easy to find. So if you're a resident and you want to know, okay, what restaurants are in Tamarac, and you know what would be a good place to go for lunch, you can do that. If you're looking for something special, like manufacturing or things like that, you can do it as well. And again, because it's linked to Google Business Profiles, you have a photo of your location, a geographical map, contact information, and a website link. This is free and available to all Tamarac businesses with an active Google Business Profile. So if you need help setting one up, you can always contact us and we can help you with that through technical assistance, walk you through the proper steps. Because we know that some of our businesses maybe are not that tech savvy, so we also can help in that way. But this is a great advancement in Tamarac, and I'm very excited to see it. The last thing I want to talk to you about is the opportunity for new businesses to have what's called a Tamarac ribbon cutting. It's not every day that you get to see your elected officials and your mayor standing in front of your small business. So, this is a great opportunity to take advantage of. Once you go through the process of getting your business license and getting all your necessary certifications that you need, such as your certificate of occupancy and your Tamarac business tax receipt, you'll be able to qualify for this Tamarac ribbon cutting. And it's just a matter of letting us know that your business is up and running and you're interested in participating. We'll then go ahead and schedule a time and place. So that way we can go ahead and have our elected officials go out. We'll put a big ribbon out, giant scissors, cut the ribbon. And this is great to get the community excited about your business, to boost customer interest and foot traffic, local exposure, and show maybe some of the people that are walking by and never realize that they needed your services, how much they truly do. So again, this is a free opportunity for Tamarac businesses. The only thing that we ask is that they have a Tamarac business tax receipt and their business is free and clear of any violations or liens. So that's it for me in terms of some of the resources. Um, and I'll take any questions if there are any at this point.
All right, everybody, this is a time for you to dig in and ask questions before you start to get those applications ready. So, ask away. I um I just appreciate the fact that during this time when businesses need to obviously continue to make money. They need to continue to reach new clients and customers. And that's not necessarily getting easier in this climate. So it's good that we have the City of Tamarac stepping up and offering a grant because honestly, not every city is doing that. So we're appreciative of that. Um, and if, okay, let me see. Okay, Jennifer has a question. She asked, can we apply for both grants?
Yeah, well, considering that both of the grants tackle rent, there's a bit of a opportunity there to double dip. So unfortunately, you can't apply for both of those grants, but also fundamentally you can't because one is for existing businesses and the other one is for businesses that are coming into the city. So the one that's for existing businesses is that small business micro grant, and the one that's for businesses coming into the city that are maybe interested in doing a build out or any improvements to their space, that's for incoming businesses, businesses that we wish to attract.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the good news is that there are other programs out there. Broward County recently had a micro grant open, um,
Mhm.
but there but there is no conflict there, so you can double dip in that way too. So if there's any micro grants that other cities might have or other organizations might be giving, it doesn't make you ineligible to apply to ours.
Okay. Yeah, the county has, I think, a $2,500 micro grant. Um, and I know because when I was at an event and found out about the grant, you were on
Hmm.
the panel I moderated.
Yeah.
I immediately was like, oh, I got to tell my folks about this. So I
Yep.
sent out an email specifically to our Tamarac businesses. And so we have someone on the line, actually, Jennifer applied immediately and was successful in getting the grant. Jennifer, I don't know if you want to make a brief comment, on, you going ahead and getting the grant and that process if you can. I don't know if you're available. I didn't kind of putting you on the spot, but I don't know if you want to mention the fact that, hey, you applied, what you applied for, and kind of talk a little bit about your process.
Can you hear me, Shahiwa?
Uh-huh.
Yes, I was able to apply for it. It was very easy. As long as you have your documents in the row and duckies in the row, then you're good to go. I'm actually helping a few other small businesses in the nearby cities to get their grants. One of the businesses, they didn't have their Broward County grant, but I
Mhm.
went ahead and helped them apply for it, and they were able to apply for the Tamarack grant.
Okay, good.
Round
Very
of applause
good.
for that.
We like success. But let everybody know, Jennifer, come back on. Let everybody know. Where'd you hear about the grant first?
I heard about it from the Broward Black Chamber of Commerce.
Then that's we view that as a part of our duty. We want to make sure you guys are getting all the information possible to be successful. We understand that business can be like this sometimes, up and down, and we want you to be successful. So if there are no further questions, I don't see any hands raised or anyone unmuting. I want to say thank you so much, Kenneth, for your time
Of course.
today. And this is recorded, so we're going to share that in our newsletter so folks can watch it. So I'm
Yeah.
sure that you'll get some calls. We'll also be teaming folks up with Jennifer, and we have another person in the chamber that does grant writing and other
Right.
technical stuff to help folks because obviously a lot of small business owners are busy. So we
Yeah.
want to connect them with folks that can help them get through the process so they're successful. So you guys meet your goals and you actually get this money out on the street and
Excellent.
and create a thriving community. So everybody give your virtual hand claps for
I,
to
I also
forget.
just wanted to mention one more thing.
Uh-huh.
For anyone that's maybe having issues with applying for the grant, or maybe they have questions about their documents, and maybe it's too much to write an email. Feel free to come by to the office. I'm
Yeah.
more than happy to do technical assistance visits. I'll come to you, or you can come to us, and we can sit down and talk about your application, and I can walk you down the checklist, and we can figure all that together.
Yeah, no, and I love this. When I, initially spoke to Ken, he was just saying, I asked about the grants. Obviously, that was the meat of what we are supposed to do. And he said, well, what about any other, programs that we do? And I looked, and it's important. I do want you all, if you're in Tamarac, get your business recognized in that Tamagram. It goes out to all of the residents. I mean, that's free advertising.
Yeah.
Do that whole, you make sure you have that Google profile so that you can be in that directory. As you know, the more exposure, the better for a lot of our businesses.
Yeah.
People see it, they remember you, they'll utilize you. So once again, thank you, Kenneth. I appreciate it. And we'll be in touch.
Yeah.
And thank you all for joining us for this lunch and learn session. We just kind of drop in from noon to one in your day to get you going. And this will be available on video. So we'll post a video in our newsletter. And then I guess, Kenneth, you can send me the slides
Yeah.
and I'll share that with everybody.
Of course, I'll send you over that slide, the slides of that presentation, and you can send it out. And again, my contact information is on there as well. So if anyone needs to get in touch,
Perfect. Now, thank you again. You all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Happy Friday and enjoy your weekend. Bye bye.
take care.
Bye bye.